Story 1.
My mother-in-law tried to ruin my marriage, but she ended up alone instead. I never thought my life would turn into one of those horror stories you read on Reddit about evil mothers-in-law. When I married David, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. He was sweet, attentive, respectful, and more importantly, he loved me deeply. We were high school sweethearts who had managed to weather the storm of college and first jobs. We got married at 26, full of hope and blind optimism. I knew his mother, Judith, was a bit intense. She had a habit of making passive-aggressive comments, especially toward other women. I assumed she'd warm up to me once she saw how happy I made her son. I was so wrong. The first real red flag appeared at our wedding. Judith wore a white dress. A full-length, sparkly, white dress. Not ivory. Not beige. It was practically bridal. When I confronted her about it, she smiled and said, "Oh, honey, I didn't realize you'd be so sensitive. It's just a color." David brushed it off. "She's just being dramatic. Don't let it ruin the day." So I swallowed my frustration. But things escalated quickly once we moved into our first house, just 10 minutes away from Judith. Bad idea. She'd drop by unannounced constantly. Sometimes she'd come over with casseroles, sweet, right? Until I found out she'd been going through our pantry and tossing out unhealthy food. I'm not talking junk food. I mean whole grain pasta, plant-based snacks, even my prenatal vitamins when I got pregnant. She replaced everything with brands she approved. She made backhanded comments about my cooking. She told David in front of me that I was too emotional to be a good mother and that some women just weren't built for it. When I gave birth to our daughter, Emma, Judith insisted on being in the delivery room. I said no. She threw a full-blown tantrum in the hospital lobby, screaming that I was keeping her grandchild from her. David stayed quiet. After Emma was born, things got worse. Judith would come over and criticize every little thing I did as a mom. I'd rock Emma to sleep and she'd mutter, "That's not how I did it, no wonder the baby's fussy." If I used cloth diapers, she insisted I was making things harder on myself. If I used disposables, I was poisoning the baby. David kept telling me to just ignore her. "She means well," he said. "She just doesn't know how to express it." But the worst part? Judith would undermine me in front of Emma, even as she got older. When Emma was 3 and had a tantrum, Judith told her, "It's okay, sweetie. Mommy doesn't always know what she's doing." And David didn't defend me. He told me to pick my battles, to let it go. Eventually, I started feeling like a single parent with 2 children, Emma and David. I went to therapy alone. I begged him to come with me. He refused. "You're the one with the problem," he said. "My mom's always been like this. You knew that." I started to withdraw. I began documenting everything. I saved texts. I recorded voice memos. Something inside me knew I might need them someday. Everything changed on Emma's 5th birthday. We'd planned a party at a local park. I had spent weeks organizing it, princess theme, bouncy castle, cupcakes, the whole 9 yards. Emma was thrilled. Judith showed up late, wearing a tiara. Yes, a tiara. She walked in with a massive gift, a real bunny in a cage. Not a toy, a live animal. Emma, of course, was ecstatic. But I was stunned. Emma had asthma. We told Judith no pets until she was older and tested for allergies. When I confronted her, she said, "Well, I just thought she deserved a real present, not like the dollar store junk you gave her." In front of everyone, I snapped. For the first time in 5 years, I didn't hold back. I told her to leave. She refused. So I picked up her tiara, threw it in the trash, and loudly told her, "You are no longer welcome in my home, in my life, or around my daughter." David was furious. At me. That night, he slept on the couch. The next day, he packed a bag and left for Judith's house to clear his head. I didn't stop him. It took me 3 days to stop crying. But by day 4, I was done being the victim. I called a lawyer. I filed for separation. Then I filed for full custody of Emma. Remember all that documentation? The texts, the voicemails, the videos of Judith berating me in front of Emma while David stood by? My lawyer said I had a very strong case. David tried to play the victim, of course. Said I was tearing the family apart. But when it came time for court-mandated therapy and evaluations, the truth came out. David's emotional detachment, Judith's controlling behavior, the unhealthy environment they'd both created. The judge granted me full physical custody and required supervised visitation for David, without Judith present. I moved across town, got a better job, built a support system, enrolled Emma in a great school, and over time, I started to breathe again. 1 year later, David reached out. He looked like a shell of the man I once loved. Turns out Judith had been manipulating him too, subtly, emotionally, for decades. Living with her again opened his eyes. He started therapy. On his own. No pressure from me. He apologized. And I mean truly apologized, not just sorry you feel that way. He acknowledged every time he failed to stand up for me. Every time he let his mother disrespect me. Every time he chose silence over support. It wasn't a Hollywood ending. We didn't get back together. But we did become co-parents. Now, Emma is 7. She's thriving. David and I are civil. Friends, even. He takes Emma twice a month, without Judith, who is now permanently cut off. Not by court order, by David's choice. Apparently, she pulled the same controlling stunts with him once he moved in. Tried to micromanage his finances, his meals, his friends. He lasted 6 months. He told her, "You've lost your place in my life. You lost your place in Emma's." Judith now lives alone. She sends Christmas cards. We don't open them. To anyone dealing with a toxic in-law, you are not overreacting. You are not being too sensitive. Don't wait for your partner to save you. Save yourself. Get your evidence. Know your worth. Be your own advocate. Sometimes, the fairy tale doesn't end with the prince. Sometimes, the happy ending is you, finally free, finally breathing, finally home.
Story 2. Am I the a-hole for taking my girlfriend's dad to court? I, 19 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 18 female, for about a year. A couple weeks ago, I got pulled over while driving home from her place, and just my luck, the officer who pulled me over was her dad. Although very awkward, he kept it purely professional, said I was speeding, and gave me a ticket. Now, if I was speeding, this would have been perfectly fine, but the problem is, I wasn't. I have a dash camera that logs GPS and speed data, and I checked it as soon as I got home. It clearly shows I was going under the speed limit the entire time. I told my girlfriend I'm planning to fight the ticket in court. She's really upset and says it's going to cause a lot of tension with her family. She thinks I should just pay the fine and move on, even if I wasn't speeding. From my point of view, this isn't about her dad personally, it's purely about not wanting any marks against my license. She feels that by taking it to court, I'm basically accusing her dad of either lying or making a serious mistake, and that could put him in a really difficult position professionally and personally. She's worried this is going to cause a rift not just between me and her dad, but possibly between her dad and her as well for being associated with me. I get where she's coming from, and I don't want to disrespect her dad or damage the relationship I've built with him. Honestly, we've always gotten along well, he's a tough guy, but I respect him a lot, and I know he's just doing his job. I've never had a ticket before, and I pay for my own car and insurance, so something like this could raise my rates and stick with me, especially being so young. I'm not trying to be difficult, dramatic, or disrespectful, but I just don't think it's right to let something slide that could impact me long-term, especially when I have clear evidence that I wasn't speeding. I'm still planning on fighting the ticket. I have the dashcam footage, I know I wasn't speeding. But my girlfriend is incredibly upset. She's been distant ever since I told her, and lately she's barely talking to me. I can tell she's really hurt and stressed about the whole thing. She keeps saying I'm choosing a stupid traffic ticket over her and her family, which is technically true, but that ticket comes with a lot more than just a one-time fine. I don't want to take the blame for something I didn't do, so I've already plead not guilty and have the court hearing scheduled for a few weeks out. I think this is the right move by putting my future first. So, am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. But your girlfriend's being unfair as hell. You didn't go looking for a fight, her dad wrote a bogus ticket, while in uniform and you've got proof it's bullshit. That's not choosing a ticket over her family, that's not letting someone screw up your insurance, record and money for no reason. If her dad's a decent cop, he'll accept that you're just using your right to defend yourself. If he isn't, then yeah, maybe that rift was coming either way. You're not disrespecting anyone by standing up for yourself, especially when you've got the receipts. Tell her you're not putting your life on pause just to avoid her dad's feelings. If that's too much for her, that says way more about where this relationship's headed than a damn traffic court date. I work in law enforcement. We make mistakes. However, that doesn't excuse the mistake when it's found. Go and have those marks removed from your license and take it to court. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend, however. An a-hole. Not the a-hole. There's no way that having the ticket fought will impact her dad professionally. It could easily be an issue of his speed radar being a little off. Take your evidence and go to court, keep your clean driving record and your current insurance payment. If the girl doesn't understand that asking you to accept guilt for a false charge, pay the fine, and suffer consequences based on faulty information is unreasonable and seriously messed up, and that it isn't a matter of questioning her father's professionalism or pride in having his tickets fought should be routine, something is very wrong. If what she says is at all founded in reality, her father would need to have a documented history of false ticket writing at the very least. Faulty equipment is not uncommon, and even if the speed reader were functioning properly, the justice system is built so that folks can fight tickets as part of their right to due process, and all law enforcement knows that. Engaging with that justice system in good faith should never be something you're shamed about or pressured out of. What is most likely here is that SHE feels awkward and uncomfortable about how her father reacts to having his authority questioned based on her experiences at home. Do not ever admit fault if it's not true. Especially, if you can prove it. If this implodes your relationship, then you dodged a bullet. Not the a-hole at all. If her dad is a crooked cop, then it will hopefully bite him in the ass at some point. If it happens to be you, that exposes him, and she can't see reason, then you're better off without her, and her corrupt cop dad baggage. I would never date someone who has strong affiliations to a cop like this and feels as if others should just bow down and accept unfairness. You should fight the ticket, you have proof and it's your right. Why would going to court over a speeding ticket ruin relations in either manner? This doesn't make sense unless she's afraid that poor daddy's ego will get knocked down a step. Not the a-hole. Story 3.
Would I be the a-hole for skipping my brother's wedding after he skipped mine? I, 27 female, got married to my husband, 28 male, last April. We sent our wedding invites out a full year before our wedding and sent reminders 6 months before. My brother Jacob, 22 male, is the youngest of 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy, and my parents have always treated him like their precious gold child, who can do no wrong. In the adulthood, this has caused a lot of tension between us. He acts like a raging, hormonal 16-year-old boy. It has definitely gotten worse with his fiancée Kelly, 21 female, enabling his bad behavior. Kelly is constantly telling him we don't appreciate him, and we should be grateful to have him as a sibling. My parents think my sisters and me do not understand him, and we do not give him enough grace. Jacob told me a week before my wedding he wasn't coming because he was going to be busy with Kelly, and they were going on vacation. I begged him to come and emphasized how important it was to me he came to my wedding. My mom got involved at this point and assured me he would be there and not to worry. I didn't find out until an hour before I walked down the aisle he wasn't there and didn't intend to be. I was devastated. My sisters and husband had to calm me down. I had my heart set on my entire family coming, and he was our ring bearer. When Jacob told our family he and Kelly were engaged, I was happy for him. He announced his wedding date, May 30th of this year. He emphasized we all have to be there. His fiancée sent a text saying that our attendance was mandatory. I've been debating skipping his wedding. I don't get along well with Kelly, and my brother skipped my wedding. I mentioned possibly not going to my mom, and she was pissed and told everyone. Now my brother, Kelly, and my parents are calling me an a-hole, brat, and petty for maybe skipping his wedding. My sisters and husband agree with me that I don't have to go since they didn't go to mine. But I don't know, would I be the a-hole for skipping my brother's wedding? Update. Turns out my husband isn't invited, and my oldest sister's wife isn't invited either. Kelly doesn't want any spouses there since those are, in her words, temporary, and she doesn't want them in any pictures. My oldest sister has decided not to attend because of that reason. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your parents enable his behavior. Mom said he would be at your wedding, and I bet she didn't get mad at him when he didn't show. Not the a-hole. They are 22 and 21. I would be honest and tell him you will catch his next one. Why should you have to be the bigger person or keep the peace? That is ridiculous. Not the a-hole. It's an invitation. You're free to decline for any reason. His fiancée is out of line to demand the family attend. Your brother didn't attend your wedding. He shouldn't be upset if you don't go to his. His behavior is incredibly hypocritical. Tell them all to go pound sand. Not the a-hole. With the update, I suggest you and your oldest sister and your respective spouses go out for a nice dinner or a holiday together and appreciate your time together. Not the a-hole. What you going to do if you don't turn up? Fine you? I mean, it's an invitation to an event you don't have to attend if you don't want to. Only thing to consider is any lasting damage to relationships you might rather not destroy by not going like your parents. Spouses are temporary. Attendance is mandatory, but your spouses aren't invited? You should be grateful for having an immature younger brother who chose a vacation over his sister's wedding, on which he was in the bridal party. Kelly is going to be an interesting addition to your family. I wouldn't go to this wedding. Let them spend the entire time bitching and moaning about how horrible you are. You should go on a weekend getaway and tell them that you are going on vacation. Make your mother assure Kelly that you will be there, then go find a beach to sit on that day. Not the a-hole.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for daily life stories.